Before you start today's video, just pause for a sec. You clicked on this video, right? Stop scrolling on your phone for a minute. Tune out all the noise around you for just a moment. If you're busy right now, put that aside for a bit and really focus on what I'm about to say. Ask yourself this: if I just keep working silently without telling anyone what I want, will my life actually change? Or is that just one of those motivational lines that sounds good but doesn't really work? And if I stay quiet, how will I even know if I'm on the right path, if I keep going solo? So what if I fail? These questions aren't just yours. They're for everyone who wants to achieve something big but ends up quitting halfway. And honestly, most people don't lose because of a lack of hard work. They lose because of their own doubts, their own fears, and mostly because they stop sharing their dreams with others. Hello friends, welcome warmly to the From Your Favorite Book channel. Today's discussion isn't just another motivational video, it's a deep analysis, like a summary of a book, combining timeless principles, psychology, and real-life experiences. Experience clears the way. Today, let's talk about the power of silence, about a 6-month silent journey, and the secret change that no one else can see but completely transforms your life inside. Have you ever noticed, just the moment you tell someone your goal, like, I want to do this, or I want to become that, you suddenly feel this strange satisfaction, like you've already achieved something. But in reality, you haven't even started yet. Psychology says when we announce a goal, our brain, it's considered partially achieved. This isn't some made-up idea. Studies have shown that after stating your goal out loud, your brain releases dopamine. That artificial feeling of satisfaction then lowers your sense of urgency to get the work done. Napoleon Hill clearly pointed out in his writing that when you tell the world your goal, your subconscious loses the drive to achieve it. That doesn't mean dreaming is wrong, or that sharing your plans is bad. It means not every dream is meant to be shared with everyone. And he made one more thing clear. Don't tell the world what you're going to do. Just do it first. The world will notice on its own. Just think for a moment. How many times have you told someone your plan, only for that plan to slowly fade away after a few days? At first, you were excited and full of energy, but then it all died down. Why? Because instead of using that energy to get things done, you wasted it on talking. Actually, when you stay quiet, you have two options. Either get to work or just convince yourself otherwise. But when you keep working without telling anyone, a different kind of power builds up inside you. That power? It's not about proving anything to others, but about changing yourself. Let me explain with a small but real example. There was a young guy everyone just saw as an ordinary person. He often told his friends, I'm going to do something big. I'll prove myself. But every time, after a few months, he would end up right back where he started. One day, he decided to stop talking about it altogether. He turned off unnecessary phone notifications, distanced himself from social media, and spent 6 to 7 hours every day focusing solely on improving his skills. He gave it a shot. For the first 10 days, he doubted himself, thinking maybe he was wrong, but he didn't tell anyone. After 30 days, he started to regain a bit of confidence. After 60 days, he felt improvement. And 6 months later, the very people who used to ignore him began coming to him for advice. This isn't a movie plot, it's real life. The only difference was that before, he talked a lot and did little, but later he stopped talking and got to work. Napoleon Hill used to say, a person's greatest strength is their controlled silence. Control your energy, control your thoughts, and keep working quietly without making a fuss, that's when you'll grow the fastest. One thing's important to understand here. Being quiet doesn't mean you're all alone or that you can't ask for help. It means staying away from unnecessary noise. Stay away from people who don't get your dreams, and avoid opinions that confuse you. The truth is, everyone has their own take. If you listen to everyone, you'll never hear yourself. Now, ask a simple question. The last time you thought about doing something big, what was the very first thing you did? Did you start working on it, or did you tell people about it? And what happened as a result? This is where most people mess up. They waste their energy right from the start. They think motivation will come from outside, but real motivation comes only when you see small progress every day without telling anyone. And these 6 months aren't just some random number. It's the time when you can change your habits, you can change your mindset, and The most important thing is that you can change your identity. For the first 30 days, your mind will resist. It will keep trying to confuse you. In the next 30 days, you'll have a little control, but the fight to stay consistent will continue. After 90 days, you'll start to see the difference. And after 180 days, you won't be the same person you are today. But this will only happen if you stay quiet, if you give more importance to your actions than your words. Remember another powerful quote from Napoleon Hill: "Whatever the mind can imagine and believe, it can achieve." There's a hidden part here. Between imagination and belief lies silence, because until you keep your mind away from distractions, that belief won't get strong. Now imagine if for the next 6 months you don't tell anyone anything, don't give any updates, don't show off, just keep working every day. What do you think will happen? At first, people will forget about you. Then they'll start ignoring you. And then one day, out of nowhere, they'll ask, "How did you do it?" And that's exactly when your success will speak for itself. But for that, you've got to make a decision.
So, can you keep your pride in check for the next 6 months? Can you work without needing validation? Can you put in the effort without any praise? Because that's the real game right here. Maybe you've started a bunch of times before, but this time it's different. This time you won't just say it, you'll show it. And once you show it, there's no need for any explanations. Now listen carefully. This path isn't easy. You'll feel frustration, loneliness, doubt. But these are exactly the things that set you apart from others. Because most people run away from these feelings, and only a few face them head-on. You have to face your feelings head-on, and those who do are the ones who move forward. Now it's up to you. What do you want to become? Take a moment and ask yourself a simple question. When no one's watching, when no one's judging you, what do you do? Because that's where your true character is built. That's where it's decided whether you're serious about your goal or just chasing the feeling that comes with thinking about it. You've probably noticed that in the beginning, your energy is high. You make plans, set routines, promise yourself. But after 10 to 15 days, it's exactly that mindset. I'll start explaining it to you slowly. Take a little rest today and we'll start again tomorrow. And right here is where most people give up. There's no big failure, just a bunch of small excuses winning out. Napoleon Hill used to say that the difference between success and failure is just one habit kept up, meaning the person who doesn't stop is the one who wins, no matter what's going on inside. He also said patience, persistence, and hard work together create a powerful combo that leads to success. In other words, patience, consistency, and full effort. These three together create a strength that no one can defeat. No way. Now understand this simply. Patience means realizing that you won't get results instantly. Consistency means keeping at it even if you don't see results. And hard work means truly putting in effort. Just thinking won't cut it. You have to do it. Now think about it. When you stay quiet, these three things automatically kick in. Because you're not distracted, you don't seek validation. It's just you and your work. But here comes another trap, the comparison trap. When you open social media, it feels like everyone's ahead of you. Someone's achieving something, someone's showing off their success. And you? Your brain immediately tells you that you're falling behind. That's where the game ends. Because you're comparing your first chapter to someone else's 20th. And that comparison just drains your strength. Slowly your focus breaks down. Napoleon Hill clearly said, when you keep looking at someone else's path, you lose sight of your own. This doesn't mean your competitor is someone else. Your only competitor is who you were yesterday. Now picture a real situation. A person starts going to the gym. In the first week, he goes regularly. But in the second week, when he sees someone else lifting heavy weights, he starts feeling small. He thinks he's slow, falling behind, and eventually stops altogether. But there's another person who only focuses on himself. He doesn't care who's lifting how much. He just watches if he's doing better than he did yesterday. And after 6 months, that same person is the one who stands out the most. The difference was all in mindset. Now you get it. These 6 months aren't just about working hard. They're about understanding yourself. It's the time to recognize your inner weaknesses and work on them. Slowly your irritation will fade away. You'll feel like nothing exciting is happening. But this annoyance is actually teaching you discipline. Because when the excitement ends, that's when the real hard work begins. And that's the point where people say, I don't feel like it. But the truth is, it's the mind's job to change. You might think you'll do it today or tomorrow. But if you leave your work up to your mind, you'll never stay consistent. Napoleon Hill used to say, your brain should be your servant, not your master. That means you decide what needs to be done, not your brain. And he also said, He said discipline means doing what you have to do even when you don't feel like it. The real meaning of discipline is that when you don't want to, you still do what's necessary. Now imagine if every day you only did what you felt like doing. You might feel good for a little while, but in the long run nothing would change. But if every day you do what's necessary, whether you want to or not, slowly your whole life will start to change. And this change is exactly what you need to make. One more thing that a lot of people overlook is environment. If you hang out with people who don't take action, who always complain and look for problems in everything, no matter how motivated you are, you'll slowly turn into the same kind of person. That's because people become the average of those around them. So if you really want to take these 6 months seriously, you need to change your environment too. You don't have to physically go somewhere else, but mentally you have to filter what you see, what you hear, and who you talk to. Because whatever you take in every day shapes your mindset. Here's a simple truth. Success can be pretty boring. There are no flashy moments, no dramatic changes. Just small steps every day that slowly build into something big. And this process is so quiet that from the outside, no one notices anything. People think you're not doing anything, but inside a lot is changing. That's why in the beginning, nobody pays attention to you. But as time goes on, your work will start speaking for itself. And then you won't have to explain anything to anyone. Now ask yourself, can you really give these 6 months?
Without any confusion, excuse, or justification, if you do it, no one can stop you. But if you give up halfway, it doesn't matter how big your goal was. More important than the goal is your commitment, and commitment shows when no one's watching. Now, the next step is to clarify your daily tasks. You need to know what you have to do every day, because without clarity, consistency isn't possible. And when you take daily steps with clarity, doubt slowly starts to fade away. Doubt only creeps in when there's no action. This whole journey is based on one simple rule: talk less, do more. At first, this rule will feel tough because you're used to sharing, telling, and showing off. But the more you control that habit, the stronger your focus will get, and that focus will take you exactly where you want to go. Now, really pay attention to this last part. These 6 months could be the most powerful months of your life, or just another unfinished attempt. The choice is yours. If you want, everything can stay the same after today. You can hold on, or you can change everything starting today. And if you decide not to change, just remember, this time there won't be any noise or drama. This time it's all about actions. And those actions will one day speak so loud that the whole world has to listen. This is where the real difference begins, because by now you understand why staying silent and working matters. But here's the question: when there's a battle raging inside you, when you fight yourself every day, how do you keep yourself steady? You can shut out the noise around you, but the noise inside, that keeps coming back again and again. It will come, sometimes with doubt, sometimes with fear, sometimes with the thought that maybe I'm not ready for this. This is where most people break down. You might think the problem is outside: lack of resources, lack of time, lack of support. But the truth is, the real problem always lies within, in clarity, belief, and self-control. Napoleon Hill used to say that a person becomes what they think about all day long. Simply put, if you spend all day doubting, you'll become doubt. If you spend all day afraid, you'll become fear. But if you keep seeing yourself as capable, then slowly you will. It'll happen just like that. And he said something really deep. You are the master of your own destiny. In other words, no one else decides your path. You do. But the problem is, people are afraid to take responsibility. It's easier for them to blame their situation or others for their fate. But the moment you accept that you are responsible for your own life, a new kind of strength comes from within you. Now, think of a real situation. There's a person who always thinks, I don't have the right environment, I don't have resources. And then there's another person who maybe has even less than that. But he thinks, I'll start with whatever I have. Both of them start from almost the same point. But 6 months later, their lives are completely different. Why? Because one person was looking for excuses, and the other was looking for solutions. Here, it's really important to understand this. Mindset doesn't change overnight. It's built from small daily decisions. Every time you ignore confusion, every time you reject excuses, every time you choose to take action, you're training your brain. And that training eventually becomes who you are. Now, just think, if you get just 1% better every day, where will you be in 6 months? And if you don't put in that 1% effort daily, what will change in 6 months? This simple math is what people often ignore. Napoleon Hill used to say that big success comes from small, consistent efforts. There's no overnight miracle. It's just the daily work that slowly turns into results.
And he said another powerful thing. Success doesn't need an explanation. Failure makes no excuses. So when you succeed, you don't have to explain yourself when things are going well. But when you fail, no matter how many good reasons you have, they don't matter. Try applying this in your life. If you succeed after 6 months, no one will ask how you did it. Everyone will just see the results. But if you fail, all your explanations won't count. So the question is, which side do you want to be on? And here's another thing you should understand. Consistency is built by fighting through frustration. In the beginning, everything feels exciting, but after a while, everything becomes repetitive. The same tasks, the same routine, the same process. And this is when people say, oh, I'm losing interest. But the truth is, success doesn't come from interest, it comes from discipline. If you only do the things you enjoy, you'll never reach the level you want to, because growth always happens outside your comfort zone, and the comfort zone is never exciting. Now imagine a writer who writes only when they feel like it. And then imagine another writer who writes every day, whether they feel like it or not, for 6 months. Who will do better? The answer is simple. The only difference is this: one person follows their emotions, and the other follows a system. And you have to do the same. Control your emotions and create a system. So what does having a system mean? It means having a set routine, having a clear plan, and sticking to it without making new decisions every day. Because the more decisions you make, the more confused you get. And when confusion increases, productivity drops. That's why successful people keep their lives simple. They don't decide what to do every day. They decide in advance. One more thing. The important thing is patience. Today's generation wants instant results. They work today and expect results tomorrow. But the real world doesn't work like that. You have to give it time. You have to trust the process. Napoleon Hill used to say behind every big success, there's a long wait. In other words, if you give up too soon, you won't reach the point where the results come. He also said something else. Most great people quit just one step before their biggest success. That means most people miss out on their greatest achievements by just a little. They stop just short of the goal, but they give up even before that. Now think about it. It's not like every time you also stop right at that point, where just a little more effort could have pushed you forward. This is exactly the spot where you need to push yourself. Little by little, you'll start to feel yourself changing. Your mindset is shifting, your habits are changing, and most importantly, your confidence is growing. Before, you needed validation. Now you're beginning to believe in yourself. Before, you talked about it. Now you do it. And this change is what will take you places.
Separately, this journey isn't easy, but it's worth it. Because the person who gets through these 6 months doesn't just achieve their goal, they upgrade themselves. And once you upgrade yourself, no goal feels tough anymore. Now, don't think you have to be perfect. That's an illusion. You just need to get a little better every day. Progress beats perfection every time. So now ask yourself, can you trust this process? Can you keep going even if you don't see the results yet? Can you do it? Because if you learn this, no one will be able to stop you anymore. But if you don't, you'll just keep going around in the same cycle. At first, excitement, then confusion, and then you stall. Now the choice is yours. Do you want to stay in the cycle or break free from it? Because only those who learn to control the voice inside can get out. And once you start breaking free, one thing becomes really clear. The world isn't as tough as your mind makes it out to be. The real battle was never outside. It was always inside. It used to be simple, but now the game gets a lot tougher. Because now you don't just have to work hard, you've got to maintain your level too. A lot of people start out, some keep up the consistency, but very few can turn that consistency into their identity. In other words, it's no longer just about working every day. The goal is to become the kind of person for whom working hard is second nature. Napoleon Hill used to say, until hard work becomes your identity, success won't stick with you. That doesn't mean if you only work for the results, you'll slack off as soon as you get them. But if you make hard work a habit, you'll keep growing at every level. He also said something really powerful. Don't wait for the perfect time. That time never comes. In other words, the perfect moment doesn't exist. What you're doing right now is the right thing. If you keep waiting for everything to be perfect before you start, you'll never start at all. In the first week, he goes regularly. But in the second week, when he sees someone lifting heavier weights, he starts feeling small in his mind. Sometimes people slow down, fall behind, and eventually stop altogether. But there's always someone who only focuses on themselves. They don't care who's faster or stronger. They just want to see if they're better than they were yesterday. And 6 months later, that's the person who stands out the most. The difference? It's all about mindset. Now you get it. These 6 months aren't just about working hard, they're about understanding yourself. This is the time when you recognize your inner weaknesses and gradually work them out. You'll get frustrated and feel like nothing exciting is happening. But
frustration is what teaches you discipline. Because once the excitement wears off, the real hard work begins. And this is the moment when people say, I don't feel like it. But the truth is, the mind's job is to keep changing. I'll do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. If you leave your work up to your mood, you'll never stay consistent. Napoleon Hill used to say, your brain should be your servant, not your master. In other words, you decide what needs to be done, not your brain. He also said that discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. That's the true meaning of discipline. Even when you don't feel like it, you do what needs to be done. Now just imagine if every day you did only what you felt like doing. Where would that get you? Maybe it'd feel good for a little while, but in the long run, nothing would change. But if every day you do what's necessary, whether you feel like it or not, your whole life will slowly start to change. And that change is exactly what you need to make. Another thing a lot of people overlook is their environment. If you hang around people who don't do anything themselves, if you keep complaining and finding problems in everything, no matter how inspired you are, you'll eventually become the same way, because people become a reflection of those around them. So if you really want to take these 6 months seriously, you need to change your environment too. You don't have to physically go anywhere, but mentally you have to filter what you see, what you hear, and who you talk to. Whatever you take in every day shapes your thinking. Now you have the proof that you can do it. And the best part is, you don't need to explain anything to anyone anymore. It won't happen because your work will speak for itself. But if you keep doing the same thing today that you did before, 6 months from now, everything will still be the same. The same doubts, the same disappointments, the same regrets. And regret is the heaviest thing because it keeps reminding you over and over that you could have done it, but you didn't. Now the choice is simple. Either you start changing from today or you keep running in the same cycle. But if you choose to change, you have to take it seriously. No half-hearted effort, no starting tomorrow. You need to build this mindset right now. That's the practical truth. Decide right now how you're going to spend the next 24 hours. Because life doesn't change by the year, it changes day by day. What you do today is what decides where you'll be 6 months from now. So figure out what's confusing you, cut it out, make your daily plan clear, and stick to it. Most importantly, make a promise to yourself, and don't break it. Before you prove anything to the world, you've got to prove it to yourself. And once you do that, no one can doubt you. Take this last bit seriously. 6 months aren't just about success, they're about your transformation. This is the time when you can reconnect with yourself. You can become the person you've always wanted to be. But that will only happen if you make a decision and actually follow through, not just talk about it. So the question stays the same, but this time your actions will be the answer. Can you spend the next 6 months quietly, without telling anyone, working on yourself so hard that your success eventually speaks for itself? If yes, then start now, because in 6 months, your story will either change or you will.
The excuses will stay the same. That's all for today's discussion. On behalf of the channel, thanks a lot for taking the time to dive into this deep topic. Remember, silence isn't emptiness, it's preparation. It's a foundation. And when the foundation's strong, the building naturally reaches the sky. Keep moving forward a little every day. Talk less, do more. And when the time comes, the results will show you the way. If this video has brought even a small change in you, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And yes, starting today, do this one thing. Open a note on your phone and write down 6 months from today. I won't just talk, I'll take action. Then hang up the phone and get to work. We'll catch up in the next video. Until then, keep believing in yourself. No more excuses. Focus on the work. Success will definitely come. Thanks.